Hi, folks. Let's talk about AMD. I know it's a big hype. Everyone's talking about this and seeing this trade, and there's a lot of speculation of this going higher and higher and higher. And the bigger question folks are having is, why is it moving this way? There's all types of narratives around. Oh, it's the AI trade is still strong, which it is. Um, a bunch of other things, but the real reason, is my opinion, that they shot this up because the question is about before earnings. Earnings is not until the 5th of May, which is next week as I'm making this video. Why did it do this? Well, because of Intel. Intel had phenomenal earnings, huge gap there. It ran up, very overextended at this point. Um, just good numbers from their earnings. As soon as these earnings came out, it was already running up on AMD, but as soon as these earnings came up, it just really just jumped it even more. So the reason why it's doing the extra here, and the counter trade is NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA is doing the opposite. It's actually going down. Money funneling in. If you think about it, there's two primary motherboard CPU manufacturers. There's Intel and there's AMD. When you talk about gamers or custom build PCs, I'm a tech guy, so I can tell you about this. It's either you make a choice between Intel or you make a choice between AMD, depending on what you want to do. If you're doing production type of work, or you're a gamer, you're going to choose AMD. You're going to choose Intel. Both work fine, but some work. One is quote unquote supposedly work better for different scenarios. But in any case, you got two main processing companies: AMD, Intel. So if you think about it, if Intel did good, the assumption from investors is, well, we know for a fact, is what they're thinking and saying, and the way they're trading this, that AMD crushed it because Intel's always been the lagger of the chips. But especially when it comes to CPUs, AMD company has been just doing better, 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 and better. So the assumption is that the sales or the expectations of the earnings coming out is already going to be a beat with exceptional guidance. So they're thinking like maybe 4 or 5x of what Intel has now. So that's why the additional run up beyond, this was all-time highs here. It hit here. Intel earnings came out. We just skyrocketed. There was a gap here that recently got filled. There was a gap from this area here, 309s to 332s. There was a 40-point move overnight that came back down and filled, and then they built this back up, and now you have new all-time highs again. A little bit of a pullback this morning, and I'll show you that in a second. But that's the AMD. AMD's running hot, but RSI says RSI is just one indicator to show possible, just give you an indication that things are running hot. But you can look at this and tell that this is running hot. And all of this move, the question is, how much of earnings will it need to beat and guidance, if it beats, because we don't have the numbers yet, to support this move? Because this is a front run, in my opinion, move, because it's you're moving like this very aggressively before earnings. And the only reason why I can see that they do this, and that makes sense from a tech perspective, and if you're a tech investor, you say, okay, well, there's only two chip manufacturers for CPUs that we really utilize. Apple's in its own world where they're only producing for their own equipment. These produce for, even Intel's been in Apple equipment. So two main manufacturers, one does exceptionally well on earnings, so they assume the other one, because they assume the other one is better than the existing one that had the recent earnings. Or the recent earnings one, the assumption from investors, this is going all the way up. But how much, the question is how much of front run before earnings is priced into this? So that's the cautionary tale that as a trader or investor, you have to not FOMO this, but you have to be a trader and analyze exactly what's going on and be prepared, because we've seen this many times before where you get this massive run up in assumptions and then you get great earnings and then it falls back and it dumps. This is extremely hot right now. Looking at this, you broke out. We'll zoom out here a little bit more. You're in this top trend line here, and sort of a wedge channel because it's not an exact line channel there, but depending on how you draw your lines, this is the top of the trend line. We've broken all-time highs here. You've broken outside the trend line on a massive push up, over a 40-point move overnight, and you're doing all of this before earnings, and that's the dangerous part about this. Now, also, there was a double top area, so this looks like a look above and pullback. At this level here on this candlestick, back on the Friday the 24th, was a double top that you hit on previous session yesterday. Now you're pulling back below, so let's go down to the 4-hour chart, and you can see it very clearly. You hit here, and now you're rejecting. That's a problem, because you hit this in pre-market. So you've double topped. So I want you to add this stuff up. You have an extremely aggressive overbought move, extremely overbought, before earnings. So you have no catalyst outside of sympathy from the previous sector or partner, I would say, company. You made a very aggressive move here. Markets are all-time highs all the way around, and you've double topped, so you're failing to break above the all-time high, and you're pulling back here. So the cautionary tale coming up next week is for on even today, today's Friday, May 1st, first day of May. Earnings come out on Tuesday, I believe, on the 5th. Cautionary tale is don't FOMO this, don't chase this rally here. You're at extreme highs. Yes, it could go higher, but those numbers to me would have to be something you've never seen before for me to say this thing just continues to pop and go and go and go. Now, we already got the back. A lot of the tech sectors come out this week. I think they're okay numbers. They did beat, except for or maybe like Meta or Microsoft didn't look too well with their numbers, but they're not phenomenal in my opinion. So be careful with this rally, folks. Don't chase this up here. Don't buy the tops and buying tops and buying tops. Wait for a good pullback. We had one here, so I figured we might fill that gap down from that 40 plus point move and build it back up. That's exactly what it did here. And now we're just failing to break above this 354s area on today before earnings. All right, I'm Hank. I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye.